everybody to yet another episode of NewsBTC's We Need to CryptoTalk. The guest we have today has already appeared once on an online interview series, but now, as the ICO round for his blockchain startup approaches, we have come with some more questions for him. Ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking about Nicholas Gregory, the person I know as one of the most concerned and insomniac blockchain tool developers. The startup CommerceBlock has been known to the crypto industry for all the right reasons. But enough chit chat from my end. Let's hear from the man himself. Hello, Nicholas. Glad you joined us back.
Good to be here. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing fine, and we are just looking at your ICO ahead. So I have a few questions for the audience out there.
Sure.
All right. So before moving forward, actually, I have already asked this question, but for the people who have not known your project up until now, could you give our viewers a simple overview of the CommerceBlock platform?
Sure. So we're essentially a FinTech layer on top of public blockchains. We came from the OTC world, so we were around previously for over a year. And over time, we decided to build a cryptographic layer that let us kind of bind private data into Bitcoin transactions. Over time, we've kind of extended that. And now we basically offer a suite of what we call side federations to basically run financial smart contracts. But then rather than a lot of people in this space tend to build a private network, we essentially build a private network which then can be bridged to say the Bitcoin network or in theory the Ethereum network. So that's essentially what we are. We have an MVP. If people go to our website, go to trade.commerceblock.com, they can see like an invoicing system that we've built on our tech stack. And that's very much what we are. And we have clients mainly from the fund world, people looking to put assets on the public blockchains and asset issuance, and people wanting to manage certain funds in a certain way on public blockchains.
So, just to add there, could you elaborate the real-time use cases of your public blockchain infrastructure service? And perhaps you can also elaborate how you achieve interoperability in such a system.
Yeah, so as I said, we came from the kind of like the invoicing background where people were doing OTC trades. So we basically implemented a bit 175. And essentially, that was an implementation of our technology. How to take an invoice, generate a new Bitcoin address. I can then give you that invoice and Bitcoin address, and then you can validate the invoice itself. And then you can decide whether to engage in me by basically sending money to that address, knowing that you've signed off that invoice. And that reduces a lot of the issues of decentralized trade, because we know that Bitcoin or crypto a wonderful decentralized currency, but the moment we have to start doing trade, like if I wanted to trade with you, we're back to using a centralized system, whether that's an eBay or an Amazon. So we're basically building infrastructure so that we kind of, still stay in a decentralized world, or still use kind of like, public blockchains for what they call, which is providing transparency and basically a trustless system.
But that still doesn't answer that, how do you achieve interoperability in that system?
Well, interoperability between who?
Between different blockchains. I mean, you have talked about opening a public infrastructure blockchain service. Of course, there will be interaction between.
Okay, so we don't solve an interoperability between the different blockchains. We basically, our technology is basically more, based on cryptography, we can support multiple blockchains.
Okay.
So rather than having a very software approach and having to re-implement it, our stack really works on, homoformic, addresses, and most crypto, language, most coins still support that. So that's our advantage. But for interoperability can't change. I mean, there's interesting stuff coming, atomic swaps, which we would implement, but we're not going to reinvent the wheel and build our own version of that.
So that's actually great, and I would like to move further to the ICO of your CBD token, which is going to start pretty much soon. I want to ask that what drive the need for doing it at first place, and how much are you planning to raise anyway by the end of the ICO?
Yeah, so I guess why did we go down this direction? I mean, we were doing well for what we were doing, but ultimately you want to scale and you want to grow what you have. And in a way, you kind of need to grow to kind of implement a standard. I mean, we've got our standard of doing. We try to standardize it by creating a BIP, but we think we want to make this more of an industry standard. So that's where we run this software on our what we call our federated sidechains. The token helps you there, because essentially the token is basically like an API key to run those federated sidechains, And in theory, once we've built up our infrastructure, you could join our network, and potentially some of the flow that we get would come to you if you're running or implementing some of these federated sidechains, and you would get some of the token. So that's the beauty of using one of these tokens. You do create kind of like its own kind of economy, and they solve these challenges around that.
So, suppose I am interested in participating in an ICO, like an average Joe, but I still have doubts, which is very obvious going by the way most of the ICO projects are turning out to be in these days. How will you convince somebody like me or an entire audience out there to purchase CBD tokens?
Sure. Well, I think first of all, we're in the blockchain business. The blockchain is, has provable timestamps of everything that's happened. If you go on our GitHub repo, you'll see our history that we've been around for a while. So, we haven't just appeared in the last few months, to take part in the ICO storm. We've been building software before that. So if you look at our Twitter feeds, you look at our history, CommerceBlock, I mean, we're close to a year and a half old, which is, okay, new, but in this space, it's actually ancient. We're like granddads here. So that's the first thing. So we do have a track record. We've had software running for a while. And then you look at our partnerships. Okay, we're not doing something necessarily exciting like building Facebook or Twitter on the blockchain, but we have partnerships in strategic places in FinTech areas. Like recently we signed with CG Blockchain, which is one of the big one of the big providers of infrastructure for hedge funds in the US. We're going to be their preferred partner when hedge funds want to interact with public blockchains. So when you can see that, I can't tell you now, but in the next few days, you're going to see a similar partnership in Europe. So when you think of all the FinTech layers or real FinTech business that are actually looking at what we're doing and what actually want to partner with us and potentially use our sidechains, I think that's real stuff. That's real work. And again, look at our advisors; they're very much from an industry background as opposed to online celebrities. And I think
including yourself, you're a Bitcoin core developer, as I've heard your name.
Okay, I get called a Bitcoin core developer. I'm not. Okay, so
but you created VIP 175.
Yeah,
right?
But for me, I mean, I know some of the Bitcoin core developers. They write C++ all day on Bitcoin. I don't do that. I mean, I run a node. I submitted a BIP, but I don't like being
an active contributor.
Yeah, it doesn't show respect to the people who actually do it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But eventually, that's good that the project is well back, and it certainly gives some good impression for the people to purchase the token itself. That's really impressive, and it pretty much answers my next question, which I was going to ask about your project being a vaporware or not. How can you prove that? But you have pretty much answered that. So we can move to the next question, which is very general. Could you tell us, our audience, that when does your IQ start, and how can we participate in it?
Sure. So we start 28. So we do have a whitelist service. That's really to do AML on the your Ethereum or Bitcoin address, because we want to regulate. We want to make sure that the money is appropriate sources. So we ask people to go through our process where if they decide to invest in Ethereum or Bitcoin, we will then check the address. If you invest in Bitcoin, there's make sure you own the private keys to that address. We'll be providing instructions on our blog, for people that have our Telegram group, and we restrict the amount that people can set to a certain level. Above a certain level, we expect KYC, and this is in line with the regulators we've spoken to. And we'll be running for 3 weeks. We will be giving like an early bird bonus. We will be doing an early bird bonus for the initial investors for the first, I think, 10%. So.
That's really impressive, and I would just, I'd like to add this on the top of it to my audience out there, that this is really impressive thing, guys, because most of the ICOs out there, they're not going through these guidelines. They're not actually taking the legal route to, develop a project like this and involve you in a very protective environment, which is a very good thing, from the CommerceBlock. I must say that, Nicholas, to you this time, that your project seems like a very genuine and good bait, if I have to just use a word for that.
Is the partners we're working with are, they're more main.
Yeah, that's actually impressive.
They're old school FinTech, so we need to support that.
Well, I think I'm going to invest. if I, yeah, so,
Join our
so,
Telegram group. We'd love to have you.
yeah, sure. I mean, I'm adding you right away then. I mean, I'll be there and we were just looking into that. But yes, guys, don't take that as an investment advice. That's me as an independent investor taking it. Please do your own research. Go into the white paper, read it full. If you have any questions, go to their Bitcoin Talk channel. I'll mention them in the description box as well. So just stay in touch with Nicholas if you have any questions regarding this project. So on the top of that, I just want to say it was great speaking to you, Nicholas. We can wrap it right away if you want. Or if you have anything else to speak to the audience directly, you can use our platform right away. You have the floor.
That's good. That's good. No, yeah, I just hope people come to our group, come to our Telegram group, and ask us questions. We enjoy questions about the technology. So.
Let's see, guys.